Did you know some of your favorite travel destinations might soon be off limits for Brits? In 2025, the rules of travel are being rewritten. The once powerful British passport is losing some of its shine, and millions of travelers who took their freedom of movement for granted are waking up to a new reality. From Europe's sun-soaked beaches to Asia's bustling capitals, doors that were once wide open are now closing, or at least narrowing, for UK citizens. This isn't just about visas or paperwork. It's about shifting power, changing diplomacy, and the sense that British travellers are no longer as welcome as they once were. Today, we dive into the 10 countries that are tightening, restricting, or even considering banning British travellers in 2025. 1. China. For decades, China has been a land of fascination for British travellers, from the Great Wall to the neon streets of Shanghai. But in recent years, the relationship between London and Beijing has soured. Trade disputes, accusations of spying, and conflicts over Hong Kong have strained ties. In 2025, as China expanded its visa-free travel program to nations across Europe and Asia, one name was missing from the list: the United Kingdom. For British travellers, that omission speaks volumes. Instead of free access, Brits face mountains of paperwork, detailed itineraries, hotel confirmations, financial statements, and sometimes even interviews. Processing times stretch for weeks, and rejection rates have quietly risen. The message is subtle but clear. The welcome mat for UK citizens is shrinking. What was once a relatively straightforward journey is now a bureaucratic maze. For some, it feels less like a tourist trip and more like being vetted for suspicion. 2. Spain and the Schengen zone. No destination has defined British tourism quite like Spain. Sunny beaches, cheap flights, and package holidays turned places like Benidorm into little slices of Britain abroad. But 2025 is rewriting the rules. Since Brexit, Brits are no longer EU citizens. They are third country nationals. That means biometric fingerprinting at borders, new digital entry, exit systems, EES, and the dreaded ETIAS pre-authorization form. What once was a carefree hop across the channel now feels like entering Fortress Europe. The 90 days in 180 rule is enforced with unforgiving precision. Overstay by even a day, and you risk fines, deportation, or a multi-year ban from 29 Schengen countries. Airport queues stretch longer as British passports trigger extra checks. And Spanish officials, once relaxed, are increasingly strict, demanding proof of funds, booked accommodation, and return tickets. For millions of Brits who dreamed of retiring or working remotely in Spain, the dream is fading. A holiday hotspot is becoming a bureaucratic battlefield where every stamp carries weight. 3. Thailand. Land of temples, tropical beaches, and backpacker dreams. For decades, it has been one of the easiest destinations for Brits. Visa-free stays, cheap living, warm welcomes. But in 2025, things are changing fast. The 6-month passport validity rule has been enforced with a sharp edge. Brits arriving with passports set to expire soon are being denied boarding before their flights even take off. Others, hoping to extend their stay beyond the usual limits, find themselves fined, blacklisted, or banned for years. Why the sudden shift? Thailand has grown weary of tourists overstaying visas, working illegally, or treating its borders casually. British travellers, who once blended easily, are now under the microscope. Immigration officers check finances more strictly. Hostels and guest houses report suspicious travellers. Even short holidays now carry the tension of being pulled aside and interrogated. The land of smiles still smiles, but not as openly at British passports as before. 4. United Arab Emirates, UAE. Dubai's skyscrapers and Abu Dhabi's golden mosques made the UAE a playground for British luxury seekers. But in 2025, cracks are forming in this once easy relationship. The UAE has joined other nations in strictly enforcing the 6-month passport validity rule. British travellers with near-expiring passports are routinely turned away at airports. On top of that, immigration officers now often demand proof of hotel bookings, onward flights, and even proof of wealth. Why the change? The UAE wants high-value tourism, not budget travellers. And with shifting global alliances, the UK no longer gets special treatment. The message is blunt. If you can't meet every rule, don't bother boarding your flight. For many Brits, what was once a glamorous escape has turned into a gamble. A single missing document could end a dream trip before it even begins. 5. Australia. Australia has always been a land of strict borders, but welcoming to those who follow the rules. For Brits, it once felt like a natural connection. Shared history, language, and Commonwealth ties. But in 2025, the climate is colder. Visa fees are rising, processing takes longer, and approvals are no longer guaranteed. British tourists applying for electronic visas find themselves asked for more details, more checks, more security questions. And for those wanting to work or stay longer, the scrutiny is even harsher. Australia's message is clear. Only the best prepared, most rule-abiding travellers will make it through. For casual holidaymakers, the easy Australia trip of the past is fading fast. 6. India. India and Britain share centuries of history, not all of it friendly. And today, those old tensions still cast shadows. In 2025, India's visa policies for UK citizens are among the strictest in the world. While some nations enjoy easy e-visas, Brits face higher fees, shorter durations, and stricter entry requirements. Security checks are common, applications take longer, and many travellers report being grilled at airports. India's government argues it's about fairness, reciprocity. If the UK makes it tough for Indians to get visas, why should India make it easy for Brits? The result is frustration for countless British travellers who once dreamed of the Taj Mahal or Kerala's backwaters. For many, India remains magical, but the path to experience it feels like an obstacle course. 7. Pakistan. For British Pakistanis and curious travellers alike, Pakistan has long been a destination of deep cultural and personal ties. But in 2025, visiting has grown harder. Visa requirements are stricter than ever. Applicants must now submit extensive documentation, undergo interviews, and face long waiting times. Some regions are outright off limits due to security concerns, and even approved visas can come with restrictions. For Brits with Pakistani heritage, the process feels especially heavy, a painful reminder of how politics can overshadow family bonds. For ordinary travellers, Pakistan's beauty remains alluring, but the bureaucratic barriers are climbing. 8. Russia and Belarus. Russia was never an easy destination, but now, for British travellers, it's nearly impossible. With relations at their lowest in decades, the idea of a casual trip to Moscow or St. Petersburg is fading into history. Visa approvals are painfully slow, often denied, and sometimes suspended entirely. Belarus, aligned with Moscow, follows suit. Political tensions have transformed once accessible cities into no-go zones for many Brits. For travellers, the choice is stark. Risk weeks of paperwork with no guarantee of success, or simply look elsewhere. 9. Iran. Few places spark curiosity like Iran, with its ancient history and breathtaking architecture. But for British travellers in 2025, Iran is one of the most hostile entry points. Every application is heavily vetted. Special permissions are often required. Waiting times stretch for months, and approvals can vanish overnight with a change in politics. For Brits already inside Iran, the sense of surveillance and risk is real. The UK government itself warns citizens against all but essential travel. For those who still try, the odds of entry are slim and the risks are high. 10. Select African nations. Across Africa, a quiet shift is underway. Countries once eager for foreign tourism are becoming choosier. Higher visa fees, mandatory pre-approvals, and tighter border checks are spreading, and British travellers are not exempt. Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, and others are rethinking their policies. Reciprocity plays a role. If the UK is tough on African visas, African nations return the favour. Security concerns and migration issues add another layer. For Brits, this means fewer visa-on-arrival options, longer queues at embassies, and the looming possibility of outright refusals. The message is spreading. Africa is open, but not unconditionally, and not always to British passports. Closing. So here we are. 10 countries, 10 shifting stories, and one uncomfortable truth. The golden era of the British passport is fading. Once a symbol of near unlimited access, it now faces walls, gates, and suspicions. From Spain's beaches to China's megacities, from Australia's outback to Iran's deserts, the road is no longer open and easy. But for travellers, this isn't the end. It's a reminder. The world is changing. And travel now demands preparation, awareness, and respect for rules like never before. Stay informed, renew your passport early, check the rules twice. Because in 2025, a single oversight can mean the difference between the trip of a lifetime and a holiday dream cut short at the border.